The year is 2025, and the aisles of our supermarkets are reflecting a troubling trend: rising grocery prices. Doug McMillon, CEO of Walmart, recently made headlines by warning consumers about significant grocery price increases. His warning isn't based on speculation, but on a perfect storm of factors stressing our food system. Global events, climate change, and economic policies are disrupting food production and distribution. This isn't just about grocery prices, it's about our future food security. The alarm bells are ringing, and it's time we pay attention. We need to understand the root causes and work towards building a more resilient and equitable food system. Ignoring the warnings will only deepen the crisis already at our doorstep. The reasons behind rising grocery prices are complex and interconnected. Farmers face unpredictable weather patterns due to climate change, damaging crops and reducing yields. New import tariffs increase the cost of imported food items, making global trade more expensive. Rising energy costs impact the cost of producing and distributing food. These factors, coupled with geopolitical instability and supply chain disruptions, create a perfect storm for food inflation. It's a complex web of issues that demand a multifaceted approach. Simply blaming one factor won't solve the problem. We need a comprehensive understanding to develop effective solutions. The days of cheap and abundant food imports are fading, forcing nations to grapple with domestic food security challenges. The impact of rising food prices isn't uniform across the board. Egg prices have skyrocketed due to avian flu outbreaks and rising feed costs. Dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt are also seeing significant price hikes. Processed foods, often marketed as cheaper alternatives, are experiencing price surges due to rising costs of ingredients, packaging, and transportation. Low-income families already struggling with food insecurity are disproportionately affected. This situation underscores the urgent need for interventions that address both the affordability and accessibility of nutritious food. The rising cost of essential food items has a cascading effect on dietary choices and overall nutrition. Consumers are feeling the pinch, and for some, affording basic food products is becoming increasingly difficult. To grasp the severity of the situation, look at the numbers reflecting soaring grocery bills. The cost of everyday essentials has skyrocketed, leaving many shoppers in disbelief as they navigate the aisles. At Walmart, the price of a standard basket of groceries has increased by 25% since 2020. This surge is not isolated to just one store. It's a trend seen across various retail giants. This trend reflects a nationwide crisis. Grocery stores everywhere are experiencing similar price hikes, affecting millions of consumers. The Consumer Price Index for food has shown an overall increase of 18% since 2020. This index measures the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. These figures represent real-life consequences for millions of Americans. Families are feeling the pinch as they struggle to afford basic necessities. For families living paycheck to paycheck, these price increases can mean the difference between putting a nutritious meal on the table and having to skip meals. The impact is profound and far-reaching. The rising cost of food is pushing more families into food insecurity, creating a public health crisis. Food banks and pantries are seeing increased demand as more people seek assistance. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, including policy interventions and support for struggling families. Community efforts and government policies must work hand in hand to alleviate this growing problem. The impact of rising grocery prices is felt most acutely by consumers, particularly those in low-income households. These families often have limited financial flexibility, making it difficult to absorb the increased costs. As prices continue to climb, the strain on their budgets becomes more pronounced, forcing them to make difficult decisions. Many are forced to make heartbreaking choices between putting food on the table and paying for other essentials such as rent, utilities, and healthcare. This constant juggling act can lead to significant stress and anxiety, further exacerbating the challenges they face. The value of SNAP benefits has not kept pace with the rising cost of food, leaving many families unable to afford enough nutritious food. This gap in assistance means that even with government support, many households still struggle to meet their basic needs. Food banks and pantries are seeing a surge in demand. These organizations are often the last line of defense for families facing food insecurity, but they too are feeling the pressure as more people seek their help. The consequences of food insecurity impact physical health, mental well-being, educational attainment, and overall quality of life. Poor nutrition can lead to chronic health conditions, such as diabetes and heart disease, and can also affect mental health, leading to issues like depression and anxiety. Children are particularly vulnerable, as malnutrition can have long-term consequences for their development. It can affect their cognitive development, academic performance, and overall growth, setting them back in ways that can last a lifetime. The rising cost of food is a social justice issue that demands a collective response. Communities are coming together to advocate for change, recognizing that food insecurity is not just an individual problem but a societal one that requires systemic solutions. Addressing this crisis requires strengthening the social safety net and addressing the root causes of food inflation. This includes policy changes, increased funding for assistance programs, and efforts to stabilize food prices to ensure that all families have access to the nutritious food they need to thrive. Doug McMillon issued a stark warning about rising grocery prices at the Morgan Stanley Global Consumer and Retail Conference. He emphasized that the current economic climate is putting immense pressure on the food industry, and this is something that cannot be ignored. His message was clear: the food system is under stress and consumers need to brace for continued price hikes. The rising costs are not just a temporary spike but a sign of deeper systemic issues that need to be addressed urgently. McMillon highlighted the unprecedented challenges facing the global food system, including climate change, geopolitical instability, and supply chain disruptions. These factors are creating a perfect storm that threatens the stability of food prices and availability worldwide. His remarks were a call for collective action. He stressed that it is not just the responsibility of governments or corporations, but of every individual to contribute to finding solutions. He urged policymakers to enact policies that support farmers and strengthen the supply chain. By providing the necessary resources and infrastructure, we can help farmers adapt to these challenges and ensure a stable food supply. McMillon also challenged industry leaders to find innovative solutions to increase efficiency and reduce waste. He pointed out that technological advancements and sustainable practices could play a crucial role in mitigating the current crisis. His call to action resonated with consumers feeling the pinch of rising grocery bills. Many are already struggling to make ends meet, and the prospect of further increases is daunting. We are at a crossroads, and the choices we make today will determine the future of our food system. It is a pivotal moment that requires decisive action from all sectors of society to ensure a sustainable and equitable food future. The ripple effects of rising food prices extend far beyond the grocery store checkout line. Food inflation impacts consumer spending and overall economic growth. Low-income households who spend a larger portion of their income on food are disproportionately affected. This can lead to a vicious cycle of poverty where families must choose between food and other essentials. Food inflation can contribute to social unrest and political instability. Rising food prices can lead to increased demand for food aid, straining international organizations. It can also lead to trade disputes and protectionist policies, further disrupting global food systems. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that food inflation in one part of the world can quickly have ripple effects elsewhere. As we navigate rising food prices, it's clear that business as usual is not an option. We need a paradigm shift in how we produce, distribute, and consume food. Embracing sustainable agricultural practices is paramount. Reducing reliance on synthetic fertilizers and pesticides is crucial for environmental sustainability and the long-term health of our food system. Addressing food waste, which accounts for 1/3 of all food produced globally, is essential. Consumer awareness is equally important. By understanding the true cost of our food choices, we can make more informed decisions that support a sustainable food system. Navigating the future of food requires a collective effort from policymakers, industry leaders, farmers, and consumers. Rising grocery prices are a symptom of a deeper crisis, the looming threat to global food security. The convergence of factors like climate change, conflict, and economic instability threatens to unravel our food system. The consequences of inaction are too dire to ignore. We risk pushing millions more into hunger and malnutrition, exacerbating existing inequalities. Governments must prioritize food security, investing in sustainable agriculture, and strengthening social safety nets. Businesses must prioritize ethical and sustainable practices throughout the food supply chain. Individuals can contribute by making conscious choices about the food they buy, eat, and waste. The time to act is now, before the crisis of rising grocery prices escalates into a full-blown catastrophe.